So I've kind of like I see a lot of people starting golems, and I think it's pretty weak. Um, if you start red on most junglers, you finish your clear at blue with like a lot more health, and it comes like it's actually a pretty big mistake this game because you would have had a kill top lane if you had higher health. Um,
Yeah.
and if Pantheon had played it right, you should have actually died.
Yeah, I know.
Um, so I strongly suggest you try starting red.
Okay.
And you can get a leash, whatever. You just smite it at the end, and then you go wolves, and then you go blue, and you can do it on both sides of the map. On some junglers, it's kind of iffy.
So the only two junglers I play is basically Master Yi and Elise.
Okay, on Master Yi, I would still probably start golems,
Okay.
but on Elise, I would definitely start red on both sides of the map, and you don't need a leash when you play on red side. You don't really need one on blue side either, but you might as well get one since they'll give you one. So I guess we'll just kind of start talking about how to play when you get that far ahead. Since I don't have a ton on this early game since it was mostly pretty good. Basically, there's a point in this game where you kill Jarvan top lane, and you see his level, and you see your level, and you see your item build, and his buffs are about to spawn, and you're you're 2 levels up on him. You just killed him. You have like a ton of gold, and like I said, his buffs are about to spawn. So you had this like really good opportunity to just like invade him and just crush him and like knock him out of the game. And I think you do invade him a little bit later after that, and you get the kill. But after that, you never go into his jungle again. And you're like so far up in this guy, like he should never do anything. And I would say from like a counter ganking and like warding perspective, he actually beat you this game. Like, it sounds a little weird because you clearly like dominated the game, but you'll see on this recording, there's a point where you walk through 2 of his wards to gank top, and he counter ganks you, and you just kill them because it was like not the best time for him to counter gank. But you never got in that situation with him, right? Like you never got your wards down in his jungle and saw where he was going and showed up there at the same time.
No, I was really focused on me this game.
And when you get really far ahead, that's like the best way to snowball a game as a jungler. I used to play like Pantheon jungle, and all I would do is invade people and just like ward up and then like kill them over and over again, and I just get people to rage quit because it was so frustrating to play against. And you had like the perfect opportunity to play like that this game. Alright, one little side point here, watching this. Pantheon should have killed you here. Mechanically, that was kind of off. You never want to repel into a gank like that. Especially when you're that low. Because repel is your only escape, and repel is really OP because it dodges damage. And so you use it as a gap closer, but you're already at like 30% health. If I was at Pantheon, I literally would have just turned around and like jumped on you and killed you.
Okay.
And he had Ignite too. Like, there's no way that you should have lived there.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I should have died.
And then you kind of overstay a little bit. So you kind of get away with this a little here. And the game could have gone a lot differently because he would have gotten double buffs. But there's not,
Oh,
like...
yeah, true. I didn't take that into play, too. That had buffs and you could have took them.
Yeah, you have to... Your first couple ganks of the game are really important to not go wrong. Like if something... If you... It's a little better now because they changed it so that your buffs don't, like, reset duration whenever they transfer. But, like, if you give Pantheon double buffs there, he probably could have gotten a double kill. And then that Malphite would have been kind of screwed. The other thing I want to go back to about invading in his jungle this game is that he has teleport. Like, he has no escape. If you catch him at any point at a jungle camp with like 75% health, he's actually just dead. Especially once you get up.
True.
So...
Yeah, you're right.
Your build path is really good this game, except for your first back. I really don't like. I think boots are like the most useless first back item in the game. Because if you get into 1v1 and they have a longsword and you have boots, you actually just lose. Like, it doesn't do anything for you. And it kind of goes back to like the jungle style of it. Like if you're gonna go for a counter gank and you know he's there, if you have boots and he has a longsword, you can't even counter gank him. So, I really don't like boots first back, and I also think you should have gotten a pink ward. I don't know. I didn't check your gold at that one, so I don't know if you couldn't with that buy, but I really like pink ward first back too, because you can try to get the max duration out of it.
Can you go back to that time where I backed the first time?
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's.
It's like right here. Maybe after you do this. Okay. So you buy boots, 2 green wards, and a potion. Which isn't like okay, boots aren't like the worst thing you could buy. Like obviously you could like fuck up in a lot crazier ways, but in general, boots don't really help you at this point in the game so much.
Hey, what about movement speed? Because that's kind of why I get them. Just for the
thing is, 25 move speed is like not super impactful. Like the only time that you would notice a difference in move speed, it actually happens, which makes me sound a little stupid, but this is not something that should happen a lot. The only time you like see a difference in move speed is when you're chasing someone like this. But like, this is not like a super common thing, and I think you would have gotten the kill without boots because you would have done more damage.
I see. I understand.
But the big thing is that if you get in a 1v1 with a jungler at any point and you have boots and he doesn't, you're gonna lose. You're just done.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's right.
And I kind of think that jungle comes down to who can 1v1, like, because that's who has a stronger counter gank and who is not afraid of counter ganks. Like, if I'm really ahead of someone, I can just gank blindly because I know that if they counter gank, they just die too.
So where would you stick your counter wards at in their jungle?
I will pull up a map and show you a little later in the game.
Okay.
And we'll get to that once we get to where you're actually a little farther ahead. So this is, so like already he's like in your jungle getting wards down. And this whole counter gank situation is going to come up top lane in a couple seconds here. You're going to go and walk through that ward and he's going to try to counter gank you, but he's just going to lose because he misplays it. And you play it right. Alright, so there's the boots thing, and the pink ward I think is really strong early. Like, your first back pink ward is really, really, really good. The other thing is that you should switch to a sweeper on your first or second back in the jungle.
Okay.
It's just a good habit to get into. It's a lot more useful than a ward, like than a 60-second ward.
Wow, he has 3. Well, I see. Yeah, he sees me walking all the way up there.
Yeah, and he waits there, and he's going to counter gank you. But Pantheon is, like, not in the right spot, so he'll just take 1,000,000 damage before this counter gank even happens. And Jarvan walks out too late, or else this should not have gone the way it did. Like, they had 2 options there, and they had 3 options, and they chose like die. Basically, they could have just left because they saw you walking. They could have just like played it right, and Pantheon should have just gone on you when you walked over with Jarvan there too, and you would have died. Yeah. And they might have given up a kill. But they played it wrong. But you'll see what I mean. Like that counter gank would have worked out if he had played it right.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be going for, especially when you're this far ahead. So that was the point of the game that I was talking about, where you are 2 levels higher than him and you just killed him. And that's a really good time to back. And I actually really don't like this route that you take after, because you literally just walked from the top side of the map to your red buff while you had like 100 mana and a ton of gold.
True.
Like if you had backed and bought and gotten to your red buff, you would have gotten there in the exact same time with full mana, and you would have been able to go invade him.
Yeah.
And again, it works out because they're pushing. And like the thing I really want to say you did a really good job on this game, and something that I really encourage, is you let the enemy team fuck up. Like, this game is about who makes a mistake first and who can capitalize. It's not about, like, everyone's not playing like Faker. No one is playing perfect. So whoever messes up first, whoever capitalizes on it, wins. And this game, you literally just walk around, like, every time they push too far, you're just like, alright, you're dead. And that's really good. Like, that's really, really good. It's a really important skill to have as a jungler, is to recognize that. So that was really good, but don't ever walk across your map like that. Like, oh my god.
That's funny.
Your build path after the boot buy is super good too. But you max the wrong skill, actually. You max Q, and then you're supposed to max E, but you max W. The whole point of CDR Elise, like CDR Tank Elise, is just to spam your stun.
Okay.
And since you're not building any AP, your W like does no damage. So maxing it is like a lot worse than maxing E.
Right. I understand.
Let's see. So this is a pretty good point to go get some wards down. So we'll talk about where you're supposed to put them down. So I'll pull up like a map after we're done with this, and I'll show you like exactly where the best spots are, like on a map that you can really see. But for now, basically, there's like a couple spots in the jungle that people almost always will walk through on their way to lanes. So, like, if you with 2 wards, you can almost cover an entire jungle. So, on the top side, if you put a ward underneath red buff and above red buff, you will see him in every gank path, unless he, like, does something weird and, like, runs straight to a lane. And people aren't going to do that at the CeeLo. Like, that's something that you get a lot more in, like, really high elo games, like, particularly in, like, LCS games, you'll notice that junglers only lane gank. Like, they'll never wrap around a lane because there's always going to be a ward somewhere along this path that you have to go. So basically, wards anywhere in their jungle though are good. There's like this kind of like tri-point. There's like a triangle right here basically of good wards, and then there's kind of the same thing on bot, which would be like here, here, and here. And it's just inverted on the other side of the map.
I understand.
But anywhere forward is good, and that's actually something that this pink ward is like the worst location for pink ward of all time. Like, this pink ward you put down like 30 seconds ago, and you don't move it until 17 minutes. And he never goes into your jungle again because he's really far behind.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So your pink ward sits there for 7 minutes not seeing a single person. And since you're so far ahead, pink wards are like the ultimate noob baiter tool. Like, if I go drop a pink ward in your jungle and you're like, oh, look, a pink ward, I'm gonna go kill it, you just kill them. Like, put your pink ward at least in the river when you're this far ahead. Like, maybe not in their jungle, but if you were gonna put a pink ward in their jungle, you'd put it underneath their red buff in a situation.
Okay. And then on the other side, it'd be by that blue bush?
I'd probably put it right here on the other side.
Okay.
In this bush right on the river. You don't necessarily want to push them super far up because you're not gonna like, unless you're playing like a really weird style of jungle, you're not gonna be like in their jungle that much. But like this spot is just useless. Like, why would Jarvan ever come there again?
I put it there to where he didn't steal my blue again, but I see how that doesn't really matter because he's behind and he won't come back. Yeah.
I mean, and on top of that, you got timer. Like, you got timer and he didn't. I kind of understand the pink ward because if he had a ward there, you could have cleared it. But just going back to how this should have played out anyway, you should have had a super at this point.
Yeah,
we should have taken care of the problem.
Yeah, true. And then I wanted to put the pink there. I got it.
All right, so let's move on. You can stop me, by the way, at any point if you have any questions on what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I will.
Another mechanical thing that I jotted down here that I forgot to mention is there are a couple times this game where you should have auto-attacked the people who Braum had his passive on. Actually...
I actually saw that when I got that Israel gank.
Yeah.
He almost got away. Yeah.
Okay, so here's your invade.
See, I saw him right here. I saw him.
Really? And he didn't... So he saw you and he didn't back off?
Well, I guess he didn't see me, but I saw him, and I was like, shit, he's right there. I might as well just kill him because he's right there. And I got Cat here too.
Yeah, this is really good. The only mistake that I was going to point out here is you walk around here and you put a ward down into this bush, and you have your trinket up, and it's a 180-second ward. if you're gonna like check if their blue buff is up, the best way to do it is to just ward over this wall when you're walking past it, because that just tells you immediately if their blue buff is up. This is weird. It's kind of complex, but it's weird because you're walking around to get to this spot where you already have a ward, and then once you're in this bush, if Katarina's not here, you don't have any vision of what's above you.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see him there, because you put the ward down before you saw him,
Right.
if you didn't see him there, this ward is totally useless, because if he walks down, you don't know until he's literally right here. Whereas if your ward is up here, you can just hit him with a cocoon right here and kill him. So...
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Also, this spot is also just a better spot for a ward, because you get 4 paths instead of here you get 1, or maybe 2.
Yeah, I can kind of pay attention and assume that.
But that was good. You got the kill. You still, like, the big mistake that I'm just kind of going to repeat, because you didn't really make that many mistakes this game in general, is, like, you had so many opportunities to get these wards down, and just, like, didn't do it. Your Tristan is a fucking man, by the way. That was so baller. Just dives into the turret.
Yeah, I know.
I can't believe you live through this. Like,
Me
this
either.
is all, like... I don't think that there was really a better way to play this. Backing in that bush was pretty dangerous. And the minion chased you, so you knew there was a ward there. Or maybe you didn't, but there was a ward there.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
this is where
just...
I almost fucking die.
There's not really much to say about this. Like, there's not really a way you could have played it better. It's just hilarious. You really should have died. Your Braum played it like an idiot, too. Like, he put up his E, and it didn't block us, like, anything.
Yeah.
Like, he put it up facing Kale and then walked past her and just... I don't know. Alright, so that was... I don't know if it was good or bad. It was interesting. I guess it was the right way to play it.
I thought I was gonna die. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna die, too. It was like, there's no way. There's literally no way.
The big problem too you're gonna have is with the, like, when you smite. Hey, do you smite like a quarter second before it hits the amount that the smite does, or do you smite it when, like, it's lower than that? Like, how do you?
Okay, the way that I do it is I don't think that it's something that you could implement, because I've been juggling for like a year and a half now, and what I've gotten really good at is I'll watch the animations that my teammates are using, and if I see them using a big damage animation, let's say my Pantheon is attacking Dragon and he throws a spear, I know that a spear crits below 15% health, so I'll smite right when I see him throw it, if it's a little bit above smite damage. So, like, it gets really hard, though, when there's, like, 5 people attacking Dragon, and you have to, like, kind of see it all. I would say that smiting right when it hits, or, like, just a millisecond before it hits smite range, is probably the best way to do it. Just because that way you're not going to undersmite and then get it stolen by, like, some stupid spell, and you look like that's just a way to look like an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
So you'll at least avoid that. You might lose it if like, something weird happens. Yeah, this was really, like, I don't know why you ran away from him. Like, at least, like, if you got the smite, when did you repel, also? Did you not repel? Hold up, let's go back here.
I don't know.
Yeah, you totally didn't repel. That should never happen. Like, if you're gonna die and you're Elise, you have to repel. It's like literally the best skill in your kit. It's so good. Honestly, going back, if there's like really a textbook correct way to play this, it's probably to repel the Pantheon ult and then smite.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been better too. Yeah. Yeah, because then I would have. Yeah. Sorry.
Because you're still dodging the damage and you're getting the dragon. You'll still die afterwards, but the biggest thing that's like advanced mechanics with Elise is like understanding exactly when to use your repel. Because it's like actually one of the most broken skills in the game. It dodges almost every single stun, including targeted stuns. Like the only skills that go through your repel are like Fiddle, Drain, like DOTs. Just like not super common stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, I don't think there's too much more of analysis left for this game. There's not really anything that happens from now. You kind of just like push mid and then get a couple kills bot.